Well, I finally figured it was time to revive this Cherokee XJ that's been sitting on jack stands for the past decade. Now look, we weren't planning on this Jeep to sit this long. We thought it was going to be a couple weekends and it would be back on the road. But life happened many a times, so we never got the chance to really get this Jeep back to where it needed to go. But to be honest with you, it is actually really close to being on the road. It needs the steering finished, brake lines ran, drive shafts, and now it needs new wheels and tires. We had wheels and tires for it, but we robbed it for another project that we did last year. So now it needs new wheels and tires. What fun would it be just to kind of get it all back together and back on the road? Why not start this project completely over? When we started this project, 37s were like the biggest tire everybody was running. Now it's 40s and above. So we ended up picking up some 1-ton axles, and now we have a lot of other parts that we have been collecting for this project that need to get onto this XJ. The problem is I'm a one-man show and the XJ is kind of where it is, and I need this thing to move over so I can start tearing this thing apart. So I think that's what I need to work on now. We don't have any wheels and tires for it, but luckily the budget TJ that I built, I have some spare wheels and tires from it, so we're going to get those bolted on there and see if I can shimmy this Jeep over so I can start taking this apart and rebuilding it. Okay, before we put the tires on this thing and get it moved over, let's talk a little bit about what we did to this Jeep before it sat for 10 years. So we ended up putting the Rusty's long arm lift kit on this. I think it's like 7 or 8 inch lift. We put a axle truss in the front. We put 48 gears. We did limited slip differential front and rear. It's a Dana 30 high pinion in the front and the 8 1/4 in the rear. The 8 1/4 was the best option, but that's what we had. We were going to run 37s on it until it broke, but that's not the case now. We also rebuilt the transfer case, put the slip yoke eliminator kit in there. We welded in new rockers, put the rear bumper on it, did like the little tuck and fold, put the gas tank skid plate on there, and these were already on there before we started on it. I think he put those on like a year prior or whatever. So that's everything we did. So pretty much everything we did is coming off there, and we're going to redo it. So let's get the tires on this thing, get it moved over. I'm going to try to figure out how to get this moved over by myself. I have some spare tires sitting here. We're going to get those on there now. Okay, so my goal here is to move the Jeep over enough so I can get this on jack stands and have plenty of room to work on it on both sides. It was pretty close to that wall because when we put the Jeep inside the garage, we just rolled it in here and shut the doors, and it wasn't in a good spot. So I'm trying to get it over. You might be thinking, why don't I try to start it and move it? Well, I need drive shafts. I probably could put a front drive shaft in it. But also, I don't know where the keys are. I cannot find the keys. So we're going to do all this work, and hopefully we can find the keys while we're working on it and work on trying to get this thing started. If not, then I guess it's another problem I'm going to have to solve down the line. if I can't find the keys. So hopefully we can't find the keys. That'd be awesome. But now I'm going to try to get this front over, and then we can start stripping this thing down and get it back on jack stands and get this front end apart. Yeah, let's go from there. Alright guys, before we get too far on the XJ, let's talk about what we want to do to this Jeep and talk about the game plan that I have for it. So let's go ahead and go to the handy dandy whiteboard and we'll talk about what all we have to do. So I wanted to start the Jeep at the beginning of the video. We could not find the keys, but we did end up finding the keys, so we can start this in this video. So hopefully before the end of this video we can get the XJ started. And then our main goal is to remove the suspension, remove the interior, and then that allows us so we can start prepping to install these frame stiffeners. Now I do want to remove the interior also because I have to do floor pans anyhow, so why not just get all that carpet and all that stuff out of there, so when I'm welding these frame stiffeners on there, we're not going to have any issues with starting a fire. So we're going to go ahead and just remove the suspension, remove the interior. And then all this is in line on how I want to do it. So after we do all that, get the frame stiffeners on there. And then the goal is to get the axles kind of cleaned up, prepped, ready to go. The axles are F250 axles. I think it's a 2012, so 60 in the front and Sterling 10.5 in the rear. And then we're going to install a rear 4-link suspension. So it has the Iron Rock 4-link that we're going to put in the back, so it's going to be coil springs in the rear, which is going to be really cool, really nice setup. The frame stiffeners are also Iron Rock. Really love Iron Rock for the XJs. They have really a lot of nice parts. And then also the 4-link comes with a truss and everything for the Sterling 10.5, so I'll be able to make that axle fit the rear of this XJ. So that's pretty awesome also. So after that, we're going to start building the axles. So get the truss on the rear, get all the brackets in the rear, and then we're going to do the front. I think it's a Barnes truss that we're doing in the front. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm almost positive it is. And then we have remove the floor pans and then install new floor pans and whatever else that we find in there that might need fixed. And unfortunately, that axle we bought didn't come with the rear brakes. So we're going to go to the junkyard to see if we can find some calipers and stuff for this rear axle. Now, we'll probably buy new rotors and pads, but we're going to see if we can find the calipers and the brackets and all that stuff for the rear brakes. So yeah, pretty awesome. But here's everything that we have for it right now. It looks kind of like a mess because we kind of just threw stuff in here and it's just been sitting here. So, but here's the axles. And there's all the boxes for everything that we have. So I'm getting pretty excited. I'm really happy we finally get to start this project. So let's get that suspension out of there and start tearing out the interior. Okay, take a look at these seat bolts. Hopefully I'm not going to have too much of a problem getting these out of there, but man, are they rusty. So let's go ahead and get going on getting this interior out of here, and then we're going to see if this thing will start up. So hopefully this comes out pretty quick. Let's see. There we go. We got to use the air hammer to get these seat bolts out. So what I ended up doing is I cut this seat bolt in 100 different pieces. So now I'm just going to air hammer it off, and hopefully I can just get this seat out. And I guess I'll have to try to extract the bolt out of there, or I don't know, something. I'll figure something out once I get it out of there. So let's see if we can get this out of there now. Okay, getting that interior out definitely didn't go as planned. I knew I was going to have trouble just by how bad those bolts were rusted. I ended up having to use easy outs, cut off wheel, air hammer, but I was able to get the interior completely out of there. I did not take the carpet out yet just because this thing's been sitting for 10 years and just collecting a bunch of stuff. So it all needs cleaned out before I drag it out into the shop and make even more of a mess. So I don't need to record that. I'll just clean it and take care of it. But anyhow, this Jeep is not my Jeep. This is a really good friend of mine. He's pretty much like a brother to me. But we started this project like 10 years ago, and it never got done. So I'm helping him tear it all apart and rebuild it again. But the cool thing about that was he was going to sell these axles out of the XJ because it had lockers put in it, gears, and all that other stuff. Well, since I'm doing the Bleep and Jeep Beast Wars, he's going to give me these axles for the work I'm doing on the Cherokee. So I was like, you know what, that's cool. That'll work out for me. I need axles for my budget Jeep. If you guys haven't heard of the Bleep and Jeep Beast Wars, I'll put a link to my submission video in here if you guys want to check that out. It's super cool, and to be able to get in, you need to get voted in. But I am collecting parts, because even if I don't get in, I'm still going to build this Jeep, and I'm going to build it on a budget. So anyhow, I got axles for our Bleep and Jeep Beast Wars budget Jeep. So that's pretty cool. So we got all this out. I had the battery on the charger. I'm not sure if it's going to take a charge. It's been in here forever. So let's see if we can get this thing to fire up. I'm going to open up a garage door and see if this thing will fire. I'm not really sure. I'll check the oil before we attempt to fire it. So here goes nothing. It started a little bit and then died out. I'm actually kind of shocked. It started really easy. The only downfall is the fuel in this is probably really bad. So I'm going to be taking out the fuel tank anyhow, so I'll end up cleaning out the fuel tank. But, well, it fired up. It just didn't stay running. I'm going to spray a little starter fluid in there and see if it'll stay running on that. We'll see. It goes nothing. Yeah! Alright, I'm pretty pumped. It's definitely going to run. I just need to get this fuel tank out, clean it out, and when we get this all together, some fresh fuel, I really feel like we're going to be okay. It's going to run just fine. Spraying a little bit of starter fluid in there. Wanted to stay running. Unfortunately, I don't have anyone to continue spraying that in there, so it started, so I'm happy with that. Alright guys, if you guys liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Or if you guys have a vehicle that you're working on, maybe something that's taking a little longer than what you thought it might, tell me what it is. I definitely want to hear about it. So leave a comment down below. You guys take it easy. Have a good one.